Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you're gonna find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world we're in, this is another scene for Unmask Orlando, the vampire venue. This evening's scene takes place at the home of the gangrel Primogen, Highway Lake Runner. This is a place that Sir Sirius has been before. Our newest gangrel, not so much. When they pull up, this is the sight that greets them. And Miss Lake Runner is standing outside, awaiting their arrival.
Yeah, Sirius will have taken the liberty of inviting First Seven over quickly to his place and then getting into the armored car and driving him to the place of the gangrel Primogen, since he already knows it and thought that this is probably one of the fastest and safest way to get the new arrival to the city acquainted with his Primogen. He'll get out and open the door up for Seven.
Thank you, brother. Seven will step out and kind of take in everything he sees: the estate, the building, the house, the property, the moonlight above, filtered through clouds.
As they drove up, it was quite a long trip up the driveway, as the estate is over 50 acres of property.
Yeah, seven likes that. He's as much as he has decided to live among city folk again. He very much prefers the country, and seeing this really nice haven, this really nice house, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, on a vast piece of property, is quite impressive to him. He kind of takes it all in. This evening has him foregoing his usual biker attire. He's actually dressed in a expensive pair of designer dark denim jeans, a nice white button-up dress shirt with the top button undone, no tie, and a dark charcoal vest, and some cowboy boots, some dark cowboy boots. Very clean, very shiny. He's very well put together, as much as his appearance rating will allow. We just kind of look around and then look over to Sirius and say, "Man, I'm living my own life wrong between your mansion and this one."
Don't worry. I'm sure we'll be able to give you a leg up or a paw up, whatever the case might be.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy sleeping in the ground, but
Like the
I'm
next
starting to
gangrel,
get
of
I'm
course.
starting to get the appeal. I'm starting to understand what all the hubbub's about.
Yes, there is something to be said to have some space to establish one's nest, and then also have plenty of land around to be undisturbed. But don't worry, we'll get you fixed up, maybe in a decade or two.
Seven laughs, and
Anyway, it
and
is bad manners to leave a lady waiting. So, shall we go?
oh yes, and it's about that time that Seven catches eye of Miss Lake Runner. and her beauty is not lost on him. He recognizes the Native American ethnicity and is quite struck by her appearance. But as a good gangrel among other gangrels, he will play it very cool, calm, and collected, and not show that outwardly. But he is just somewhat excited to meet the leader of his clan in this city. And so he's going to do his best to be respectful and follow Sirius over to where Highway is standing.
Sirius will be taking the lead, leading the newer gangrel to the Primogen, and when he is before, he'll give a respectful bow, and will simply say, "Primogen, may I introduce? This is the gangrel known as Seven. Seven, may I introduce our Primogen, Highway Lake Runner."
Seven will
That's right.
bow as well, uh, and kind of match Sirius's bow. My Primogen, it's an honor to meet you. I am Seven, child of Keegan, child of Tyrus. Thank you for having me.
She nods. Come on in. She will lead you guys out to the pool area. I will just pull that up so you can actually see it. And it is all internally lit. And there are tables just out of view.
Oh yeah, Seven is digging this. Hearing that little waterfall there on the off side of the pool, that very serene, calming, splashing. Um, it just and just looking at the plants, the landscaping, it just makes him feel. Even though he's in a constructed concrete, building, he very much still feels, at home and close to nature. He's very relaxed right now.
She will lead them to one of the tables that sits around the pool. Welcome. So, I heard there was a bit of an incident when you first arrived.
Oh, that, yeah. And he'll get a little bit of a sheepish look on his face as he pulls one of the chairs out to sit in. We'll see.
Trust me, the Primogen Council talks.
Yeah, I have no doubts. I have no doubts. And he seats himself and rests one leg over the other. See, what had happened was I had been in town for a few nights, and well, as embarrassingly as this is, but I didn't actually realize that I was in what was considered Elysium at the time. So, yeah, I may or may not have, probably definitely may have made an ass of myself. But rest assured, Primogen, that will not happen again.
It's quite alright. It happens especially with neonates. I'm not too terribly concerned.
I will say I was a little bit surprised. I mean, yes, I get it. I'm younger than you and Sir Sirius and most of the kindred that I've met in this town. But I have been, up and down the East Coast, kind of somewhat of Middle America as well, in the various Camarilla cities. And I gotta say, I've never entered a Camarilla city and not been challenged by either sheriff or scourge. Yet I was able to walk around here for like 2 or 3 nights without so much as a how do you do. Kind of odd.
Yes. At the moment, we have no scourge. After all, this is a very new Camarilla city, only taken back from the spot some 7 months ago now.
Yeah, yeah, I heard. I heard. I did meet the prince, and he mentioned as much. Interesting.
We do have a sheriff, a Toreador of all things.
Yeah, is it Clarence, if I recall?
Yes.
Correct. Sheriff Clarence.
Sheriff. Yeah, I have not. I have not met Sheriff Clarence. Um, Toreador. Well, okay. I
He has
could.
been
I can see that.
busy dealing with the Sabbat and the gargoyle problem.
Mm. And this is where Seven's gangrel nature comes out now that he's in, among his own people. The storytelling kind of takes over. Um, Sabat, I see. Uh, that's actually how I came to be what and who I am. I was turned by a gangrel elder, Keegan, as part of a hunter killer coterie up in Milwaukee. And as the seventh member of that coterie, I decided to forego my mortal name and everything attached to it. And next thing you know, the name Seven kind of stuck. But suffice it to say, I do have some experience with Sabat.
Hmm. My name has changed many times over the years,
Oh, I'm
as it
sure.
does when you don't age.
Oh, yeah. No, I can understand that.
As far
Tell
as I
me.
know, my family remains in this area.
Oh, so I can only assume that you are of the Seminole tribe originally?
Yes,
Ah,
I actually originally was kin to the Lupines, to the
really?
Naru.
And at that mention, Seven will almost subconsciously reach up to the center of his shirt and kind of looks like he's grasping at something, which ends up being the necklace around his neck and the pendant, which is tucked into his shirt, but it's a Garu thing. Really, that's really interesting.
Yes, Wendigo is what we were called.
Wendigo. I have not heard that name.
Much like the Camarilla and the Sabbat, we, rather than clans, they called themselves tribes.
Oh, so very much the Native American motif.
My tribe were the Wendigo.
Ah,
I shall make note of that. Good thing they don't. Mm, let's just say I'm a very picky eater and drink little from mortals anyway, but I shall make a conscious effort to avoid the Seminole out of respect towards you and the warriors of Gaia, for great is their ferocity. And he gives you another bow.
Yes, it is.
so Primogen, tell me, how? I mean, I know the city, as far as the Camarilla is concerned, is new, but what's our strength here? What's our numbers? How many of us are there?
Our clan in particular was hit hard when we took the city back. I'm the eldest remaining of our clan, and I myself am only an ancilla. I'm not even an elder. But our neonates still number around a dozen or so. Half as many ancilla.
Oh, well, at least I'm not the only one. I do get the feeling here in Orlando, much more so than any other city I've been to, that there's a quite large disparity in how kindred feel about one another between the neonates and Ancilla. Seems like everyone I've met, with the exception of Sir Sirius Hunt here, uh, they pretty much hate me. I don't know if it's because I'm Gangrel or because I'm a newcomer or because I'm a neonate, but they do make a point to, talk about their age and how they're older and wiser and more powerful.
You met Katya. I give you my condolences on that. She is cold at the best of times.
Yeah, I'm quite cold myself, but that bitch taught me a lesson. Let's just leave it at that. Granted, had I known it was Elysium, that whole evening would have gone a lot different. But hindsight's 2020. What can
As always. And yes, our dear Katya is not to be underestimated under any circumstances.
Yeah. Lesson learned for sure. Lesson learned. So Primogen, and maybe this is too early to ask since the city is so young in Camarilla terms, but as Primogen, as our leader, what what is your vision for the city, and what is your vision for the gangrel in this city?
Well, I hope at some point we will actually get things together. Fully drive off the Sabbat. They're nipping at the edge of my lands as it is. As I live somewhat outside the city, I have gotten a few late night visitors that have needed dealt with.
Uh, I almost feel sorry for them, Imogen.
Only almost. And uh, on the one hand, sorry to hear that. Although I am outside of the city myself, I probably was located somewhere where there's very little Sabbat presence. But um, rest assured, if you would like another hunting mate to take care of this vermin, just let me know. I've recently acquired a few things that should make the hunt more entertaining.
Oh, oh yeah, me too, for sure. There is nothing I enjoy more than skinning a shovelhead. So yeah, anytime. And at that point, he'll reach into his vest pocket and pull out a calling card. He's already given one to Sirius a few nights ago, so he'll give one to Highway. It's just a white business card, very blank, and it just has his name, and then his phone number.
She will tuck it into a small wallet that is currently sitting on the table.
Yeah, I know I'm young. Well, compared to you and Sirius and perhaps most of the other kindred in town, but rest assured, I've seen my fair shit. And
There is something to be said for experience, and that you have by the truckload.
yeah, and I don't take it for granted, but it does come with a price, and that price is boredom. I I can hunt deer until the sun comes up, but there's just something
Well,
lacking in such harmless prey.
we have a meeting coming up.
Oh,
The prince has called a meeting to plan for dealing with the Sabbat once and for all.
Ooh.
ah, I'm tingling with anticipation.
Yeah, Seven's fangs actually come out. Ah,
Sirius's look, where before it was just relaxed and hanging back, has grown quite invigorated. Occasionally his eyes roll around a bit as if he were enjoying himself. Ah, excellent.
Yes. The bulk of the local Sabbat have gathered in Lake Nona. You didn't hear this from me.
Huh? What did we hear?
nothing.
Yeah.
They're They took the opportunity while our right hand was busy with the red lister and have gathered numbers well over the hundreds in underground caverns near the lake.
Underground caverns here. Must be limestone. Interesting.
Most likely.
The area is quite porous. I use that to my advantage for my 50-year nap, although that was further down south. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
God, I
Hmm.
couldn't. I couldn't imagine going to sleep for that long. Like when I fade out, when I drift off as the sun comes up. I mean, I am just to wake back up when the sun goes down. I couldn't imagine. Granted, maybe that'll come in time, but yeah, I have not experienced such long slumber.
Give it a couple hundred years, you'll get to the point where you're bored and you'll want to sleep.
That's why I look for action. Keep me awake.
All in good time. All in good time. No time like the present. So, yes, since you mentioned, Seven, that you had been able to roam around mostly unopposed, it was maybe a night or two later we stumbled upon each other, and I took the liberty of offering him some hospitality, find out what he was doing in these parts, and then when I found out, I also took the liberty of bringing him here. I hope that was okay with you, Primogen.
Of course.
Excellent. Ah, you know us guys, swapping war stories, the usual.
Of course you do. That's what you men do.
Yeah. Talking about our dear sheriff, he offered me the position of deputy, or hound, as he called it, and I've taken the liberty for maybe at least the first 1, 2 months to offer my services. But I had to warn him that I couldn't guarantee that I would continue, depending on how things go and how my business ventures are faring. But I remembered what you told me, Primogen, and thought might be a good idea, if nothing else, for us Gangrel to get some feet on the ground floor and have a look at what is happening, seeing how firmly the tower is built.
At this point, I'd say not very.
I sadly had to notice that, yes. But I didn't want to make a finer point of it around other kindred.
As Seven is listening, he's
The
gonna just
prince is a
very
puppet.
quickly take note. When Sirius used the terms of deputy sheriff and hound interchangeably, he's gonna just take a quick note of that mentally because in other cities, Camarilla cities that he has resided, the hound actually referred to the scourge, which is a very, in most cities that he's been to, scourge and deputy sheriff are very different things. So he'll just take a mental note of that to maybe ask about later.
But yes, our prince is a puppet,
Yes,
dancing on a
and
string.
yes, the king, very much as in chess, is very limited in his movements, and it is the queen who is the true power behind the throne. That was made very clear at the after party, I think. That's how you called that soiree.
So wait, if the prince that I met is not truly the one, moving and shaking here, who's this queen that you're talking about?
You've already met her, my dear.
This Katya chick?
Von Essen,
Yes.
yes.
She's the true power behind that throne.
Interesting. Is this common knowledge, or is this just something that you found out on your own?
It's quickly become common knowledge.
There was a situation where the true colors showed a little too obviously enough for most to recognize.
Hmm. Do we know what her agenda is? Like, what's her ultimate goal? What's her end game? I mean, besides the whole accumulating power because, old vampire.
Old vampire and Tremere.
Yes, a double whammy, I think they call it these days. Pardon me, these nights.
I mean, look, as much as I love my clan, and I do, but like, and I hate to be stereotypical here, but whatever happened to a Ventru leading the city? Like, where are they at?
That
Our
is
good true
something that,
Primogen had his heart ripped from his chest.
God damn.
and no contenders have shown up yet.
One, and Ancilla recently arrived in the city,
Hmm.
though I have no doubts that will be contested.
Oh, well, yes, it is Ventru after all.
So, Primogen, as a clan, and please, I realize I am minding my place here as a neonate, but I'm just curious. So, as Primogen and as Clan Gangrel, what what are we looking for here? Are we looking to just deal with the fact that the city is run by a bunch of magicians, or are we perhaps trying to find a more suitable replacement, someone who is perhaps less influenced by the occult, someone more hmm, trustworthy, and I use that term very lightly.
I was going to say, use that term loosely. We're vampires. There's always a hidden agenda.
Oh yeah, no, no. Again, I'm young, but I definitely that was one of the very first lessons I was taught. Trust me. But I'm just like I said, I've just never been in a city led by not only one Tremere but like a whole gaggle of them. So
Well,
yeah,
Yes.
call me, stereotypical. I've just always answered in some way or form to Aventru, so this is kind of new to me.
where Katya goes, Conrad and Castiel follow.
Hmm.
They are her blood siblings and loyal bodyguards.
Plus the whole. No, that's the wrong term. Plus the whole affinity of the blood that tends to be a little reinforced in their clan in comparison to ours,
Yes.
to put it mildly. I mean, I came across a otherwise very pleasant Tremere lady who was an Ancilla, but the way she was following those orders, you could have thought that she was a fledgling freshly embraced, hardly to no autonomy whatsoever. It almost broke my undead heart.
I will say, out of character, that is a particular quirk of hers, not the clan itself.
Out of character, my character doesn't know that.
Yeah. Because you would have seen other, even neonate Tremere that don't act like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
That, that is
while
just
they're
her.
talking and exchanging words, um, Seven is going to kind of, I don't want to say drift away, but he's definitely, if you look at him, you could almost see the wheels turning in his brain, and he's kind of scratching the right side of his face, running his fingernails through his facial hair, through his thick mutton chops there, and he looks to be in deep thought.
What's on your mind, my dear?
Her soothing voice almost jars him from the thought, and he looks at her and he says, "Well, Primogen, just I was thinking, and well," and he looks over to Sirius, and Sir Sirius, I do appreciate everything you've offered me with regards to monetary and financial aid, but
Mm-hmm.
I am my own gangrel, if that makes sense, and I'd very much like to kind of find my own way and be my own guy. So I mean, being in Orlando, yeah, it's a tourist town, but tourist towns attract a lot of criminal activity, and I'm just trying to figure out how can I, a guy that owns nothing but a motorcycle and a few things here and there, uh, kind of get his foot down on solid ground and establish some kind of currency base to eventually, perhaps, work his way up to something like what you guys have here. Uh,
Well, if you wish, you can stay here until you have a more solid footing.
oh,
And if you need
Primogen.
somewhere to list as your address, if you are looking for jobs, feel free to use mine.
Oh, Primogen. That is very much appreciated. It really is, and I will keep that in mind. But I'm thinking more along the lines of, well, as Primogen, as my elder, as my leader, would you permit me, ma'am, to create a ghoul or two?
Huh? We need permission for that? Sirius looks
I
genuinely astounded.
No, of course you don't.
Oh, okay, well,
Hmm.
I just didn't want to. I know there's a whole thing about like creation rights, and I'm not trying to
Uh,
like
that is for
create.
That's for
Right.
Childer.
Right, and I'm not trying to do that. I just didn't want to like step out of bounds here by I'm trying to maybe get my foot in the door with some of the criminal underground. Not only do they make good retainers, but they're pretty handy to have, as eyes and ears, especially when I'm asleep. So I think I'm gonna kind of work my way towards that.
I would be cautious when it comes to the criminal underground. You may step on some toes.
Oh, any toes in particular?
Most recent, there have been rumors of a new crime lord who has taken over the Asaro crime syndicate.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I'm thinking much more low key. I'm thinking of the street corner drug dealer with a thick wad of cash in his pocket and the 9 millimeter in his back. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, I get that. I get your warning, and yeah, that's not my intent. I'm not trying to infiltrate any kind of long-standing crime syndicate. But I just think I get my I mean, I do have some street knowledge, and I'm learning more every night that I'm in this town. But I figure if I kind of get in with some of the lower key criminals, maybe that could lead to some benefit.
Hmm. May I venture a suggestion?
Oh, please.
Um, During my fresh up courses, trying to get with the times, and also finding out what has happened in the last 50 years in the mortal world. Um, let's say I'm up to the 80s, and I have seen that the rise of nomadic gangs, I think they're called biker gangs, um, became quite prevalent after the war years, at least one of the several ones that this country has been waging. And if they're still around, I thought you might be able to start there. Maybe you are able to get some influence there without stepping on any established or more permanent criminal syndicate. Just a suggestion. My information might be completely outdated.
No, 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 no. I think you might be onto something there, brother. And Sirius keeps scratching at his beard. Hmm. Biker gangs. You refer to the what do they call themselves now? The one percenters?
Correct. As of recent, I've been looking into them, but I haven't made any moves yet, so the field is still free to play.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, your run of the mill Hells Angels or Outlaws or whatever other ridiculous name they like to give themselves.
Well, yeah, yeah. In my riding around town to the various biker bars and whatnot, because that's kind of my crowd. I did notice quite the number of and quickly out of character storyteller. What's the prominent biker gang in Central Florida? Is it the Outlaws?
The outlaws and the warlocks are both fairly prominent.
Okay. Okay. So back in character. I did see quite a few of the outlaws and the warlocks. Granted, I don't know how much I want to do with the warlocks, given that this city is already run by kindred warlocks. But
I'm
hmm.
pretty sure the name is more coincidental in that case.
Well, call me superstitious. Who
Well, the
knows if they've got
Outlaws
their claws in them?
sound right up your alley.
I'll take your advice, brother. I will. I'm gonna look into that.
I myself have been trying my best to stay away from the criminal element for now, since that tends to be rather bad for one's inner peace. Uh, or maybe I'm just being a little bit too conservative here. But Feel free, I will not judge you.
I mean, conservative or not, brother, but you seem to have done pretty well for yourself. So by all means, keep doing you because it's doing you pretty well.
Thank you.
I, for one, am a man of action. I need something to do. I need a job. A mission, a task.
A purpose, yes.
Yeah, very much. And, I think that's going to be my next one.
They might not be quite like the Outriders of old, or Quantrill's Raiders, but I can still see that they would be useful in certain situations, or at least as a quick strike team, if you play your cards right, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Yep. I'll look into it. I won't rush into anything. I'll be smart about it.
Take your time. Don't forget, that's one commodity we have plenty of.
Oh, we have nothing but time, and albeit I'm young and not nearly as powerful as some of the other kindred in town, but I am a soldier at heart. It's what I was before I became who I am today, and I do seem to fall back on that training.
Yes, our clan has a tendency of not only picking survivors, but also warriors. And he just grins at that.
Even Highway grins a little bit at that.
So, Primogen, for the time being, now that I've made my introduction not only to the city but to the clan, is there a particular job you have for me? Is there something that you have been itching to get done but haven't had the right person to assign the task to?
Surprisingly, no, unless you feel compelled to investigate the gargoyle situation, as clearly our sheriff is slacking.
Gargoyle. And he kind of rubs his head a bit. Gargoyle. That's isn't that's a Tremere thing, right? From
Yes,
way back in the day.
Officially forbidden amongst the Tremere who are part of the Camarilla, but
the Red Lister was not.
the ex-Red Lister thought that he would like to revive the bad old days and created some. Come to think of it, that has been ghosting in the back of my mind for a bit, that no official moves at least have been done yet, or at least no information of that has reached my ears yet.
So what's the actual threat here? Do we have unconfirmed sightings of gargoyles here in Orlando?
We know that the Red Lister created at least a dozen of them.
A dozen? Fuck me.
Fuck us all if we don't take care of it at some point.
Okay. All right. Um. All right. Let me. I will take that job. I make no promises, and I have to admit I don't have any experience with gargoyles, and I barely know of their existence at all. But let me put my ear to the ground and see what I can turn up.
Sir Sirius, would you mind accompanying him, keeping an eye on him?
I was just about to offer my aid.
Take him under your wing, as it were.
So 7, he won't say anything, but he's thinking like, damn it, I really wanted to do this on my own to like prove myself, but at the same time, he's also thinking like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
No, she doesn't expect you to take them out on your own. No way. It's a dozen fucking gargoyles.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, back in character. Sirius goes, he definitely will have my aid. Turns out that little arsenal I've been building up might come in handy. But he turns his head towards Seven. I'll only do it if my young brother here will accept my help. After all, you're still your own gangrel, and I will not force myself upon you.
And that, my friend, is why you and I get along. And I will graciously not only accept your help, but your mentorship.
Sirius is speechless for a few seconds, and he gives you a slight bow and simply says, "Well, in that case, I would be honored to be your mentor. I will try to impart what with at least a bit of the wisdom that I've gathered over these many, many nights. And know this, if ever you feel that I am slacking off on my duties as a mentor, confront me. I even demand that of you."
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but I've kind of got a mouth on me that gets away from me from time to time. So, yeah, trust, I will. I'll let you know if you're slacking. But I don't anticipate it. But just, yeah, if it happens, yeah.
And let's just say I'll see that you get a hint if I get the feeling that you're being a little too impertinent with other kindred. And as far
Oh,
as etiquette is concerned, I might be a stern teacher, but I like to think that I'm just. I'll see that we'll have you presentable in no time.
see, that's kind of why I like you, Sirius. You kind of remind me of a younger Keegan, my sire. He's very much like you in that regal, straight to the point, but I'll fuck you up if you piss me off kind of way. And yep, there's something to
Yeah,
be said about that.
Sirius just basically throws his head back and has a good old laugh, completely unrestrained. It almost has a bearish quality to the laughter. I like that. I like that. You've got still a lot of life in you. Excellent. And here I was already worried that I'd slowly but surely settle dust upon me. No, that's good. That invigorates my vitae.
Oh, hearing that bear-like growling laugh very much invigorated Seven, and it's stirring something inside him, and he's getting a little like antsy and anticipatory, and he looks at his Primogen and he says, "Miss Lake Runner, would you do us the honor and join us on a hunt tonight?"
I think I can do that.
Question. In
And
what form do we want to do this? On 2 or on 4 feet?
oh, seven bristles. Like all the hairs on his body just stand on end, and he's just bristling with energy and power and feral instinct. His fangs are out again. He didn't even mean for them to, but they just come out, and he's just under the moonlight. He suddenly feels very free and very powerful, and he says, "Oh, it has to be on 4." And with that,
Do we ever open up the door that leads outside so that it's actually open when they all change? They're not breaking through the glass of her,
Yeah.
her building?
see, that's why she's Primogen.
Yeah. So, shall we give a quick I would say one after other gives a description of what they turn into.
Sure. Who starts?
The
I will
highest in
start.
rank.
You see Highway shift, and she is shifted into a rather large gray timber wolf.
Sirius waits until she is fully transformed. You see him just taking off the vest, the trousers and stuff. He has got boxers beneath, but he spends 2 points of blood to shift a little faster, and you see how the form turns from an almost 6-foot man into a big, and the shoulders extend, the legs stretch, the fur grows, the snout builds out. First looking canine in the beginning, but it turns into a full-fledged grizzly bear, although there is something very weird about the patterning on his fur. It seems a mixture between a light brown and a light yellow, almost like a cross between a grizzly and a polar bear. And he then just shakes his small mane around and just gives a almighty snort as he looks at Seven and gives him a nod.
Oh, Seven is quite impressed. He has never, in his short unlife, seen a gangrel or any other kindred assume the form of a bear, and he quite likes what he sees. He nods to Sirius, and then he looks over to Highway and sees her in her majestic wolf form, a form he's familiar with, a form that never felt comfortable to him. So, with a sly smirk on his face, he will kind of jump up in the air, and as he lands, he shifts into the form of a black jaguar. He is a specimen of a jaguar. He is a bit larger than the jaguars you would see in the wild. He is jet gloss black. Uh, his fangs and teeth are pearly white, and his tail, his long tail, is twitching with anticipation and excitement, and he lets out a growl that starts very low and ends up in a snarl of excitement. Rawr!
And I think we can end our scene with them running off into the night to hunt. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene for Unmask Orlando. We'll see you next time.